Hello and a warm welcome to the Welcome Journey podcast with me, Nital Parekh. And today we have a wonderful, wonderful guest, Mr. Warren Marcini, who's going to guide us on how we can access early years education and funding. And hello there, Mr. Marcini. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Nital. Thanks for inviting me.
How are you?
Not too bad. Thank you very much.
Now, I know you're slightly nervous. Slightly nervous, but you've got so much knowledge and experience to share with all our listeners today, and I would love to fire away with our very first question.
No problem.
Could you explain what the early years education experience typically looks like for asylum seeker children and families?
Yeah, it can be a challenge really for some of these families really. There's some barriers maybe in place, like things like language, finding the right information about how to apply for a place, actually finding details of local childcare providers then that can provide the funding as well. And as I say, we try to make that as easy as possible for them really, to break down those barriers, because it is such a transformative thing really for them to take up, and for their children, but also for them as well as families. The first stage really is about sort of finding out really what you can apply for, and it can be tricky navigating sort of government speak and language that we've all seen the websites. They're all
they are
not easy to follow sometimes, and there's some hidden complications really.
Lots, because we've had lots. When I say we, I've come across many families who, even at that first stage, really struggle to even navigate themselves with the system.
It just can be just sometimes the way things are written, but it helps if someone can help you through that process as well. So we do have support like that also, but really it depends on your circumstances also. So things like for families that are in receipt of certain government sort of benefits, and I'm including all families here, not just asylum seekers, you can claim a 2-year-old place for 15 hours. This also applies in for asylum seekers in terms of if they're getting asylum support from the government, and also families that may have no recourse to public funds. Yeah, they can apply too. So that's an application process for 2-year-olds really.
Because, sorry to interject just there, because I know what according to the rights of asylum seeker families and children have the kind of same eligibility or same access to education from 5 to 18 onwards as they would as a child in the UK would, but it's slightly different with early years, as you were mentioning. So am I right in understanding? So I'm just going to rewind back. So when the asylum seeker family coming to the UK, and it's their responsibility to sort the education journey out, would the first thing be to find someone from the early years team, or can they just simply use their phone and log on? And if so, what is that first, just if we take it baby steps, so holding their finger and we're saying, okay, the first thing you do is perhaps go on Google and type in early years funding at Lancashire County Council.
So that will work. That
will work?
That will work, yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
So if you've got the capability to do so, and you're self-sufficient and self-serving, we call that.
Self-serving, yes.
In the industry, I think.
Yeah, the industry. Yes.
So if you're able to do that, or then fair play, you can go and do that online. There's an application process, like I say. You fill in a form, and you apply through that. You get an indication whether this is. So when I go back to sort of when I was saying about no course to public funds, you can still apply. There's an application form on our website. So it's lancashire.gov.uk/childcare.
Yep.
You'll see the form on there. Fill the details out and email that back into the team. They'll give you a response, and they'll contact you and they'll support you. Now, if you are struggling in terms of getting access to the internet, understanding the information or even the language, then there is support workers that can help. So we do have various teams like yourself, Nital, right?
Yes.
Like in terms of the equality and diversity team will help you complete the form.
Yes.
They'll help with language. They'll help in many ways. They're a lovely team. Are in direct contact with the funding team
We
also.
shall pay you later, Warren.
But you're in direct contact with the funding team, and you can help iron out issues that may occur.
Well, no, actually, because the asylum seeker team, even at Preston City Council, they sign posters to the support workers, and of course, you know, you got your centres all placed around Preston, you know, and I know it goes all across the country, but generally, if we're talking about Preston as a whole, where we're really accessing, there's lots of support systems, and
so the other teams really I would refer to is also family hubs.
Family
so
hubs.
Again, they're in local communities.
Yeah.
So throughout Preston, you'll find various numbers of those.
Yeah.
But again, they're available throughout Lancashire,
So-
in local communities.
So Warren, so when of course a school, primary school, secondary school, further education, we'll talk about later on in our episodes. At the moment with early years funding, so there have to be two.
So that's for a 2-year-old place. So
Yeah.
you qualify for a 2-year-old place, and that's, like I say, for families that are receiving certain benefits, and also no recourse to public funds. There is an added sort of thing I have to say about that really as well. That depends on your income level. So again, when you fill in the application form, they'll be looking at that detail as well.
Sure.
So that's when I say 15 hours. That's 15 hours from the term after the child turns 2. 15 hours is an average. They can take as little or as long as they want, depending on the child, depending on the family situation. So it might be they start off slowly and build up to the full 15 hours. It's for 38 weeks of the year as well, so that's term time.
Wow.
So it's not the full year, but it is.
It's a sufficient
terms.
amount,
It's a
isn't
lot.
it?
It's a lot,
It's a
yeah.
lot, yeah.
In terms of financial, if you were having to pay for that, it would be thousands probably that you would be paying for those.
And I think that's what the biggest misconception is, that, just for them 15 hours, how on earth will I be able to afford it? And I think what many of the asylum seeker families may not know, that, within wherever you are placed, whatever home or hotel you have been placed at, actually there tends to be, some early years nurseries or play groups that they can usually access within a, sometimes a walking or a bus distance.
Yeah, there's lots of childcare really available within Lancashire. It depends on really what you're looking for. It depends what you judge as a quality childcare setting. Every family has different needs, and every child has different needs. And just because one child is happy in one setting, your child might not be happy.
Yes.
So there's a number of things that we can talk about in relation to that, in terms of choosing a childcare place. So one of the other things is on our website again. So like say, lancashire.gov.uk/childcare. There's a finding childcare element there. So you can click on the link, put in your postcode of where you're living at that point, or where you're working, or whatever you want to look at in a certain area. Put in how far you want to travel. So if you've got transport, you might do 2 to 3 miles. If you've not, like you say, within pram pushing distance, probably a mile. And you'll see a list of all the different childcare providers appearing then on the screen really. But when I say a list, it's more than a list. It's like it gives you information about where they are, their contact details. You can see on a map where they are, so it makes it easier for you to work out how far away they are from you. Really, it's Google Maps. So you can put it in and Street View that, and you can see.
So we'll have to put that link in when we post a video. We'll pop that link in, because I think that will be really useful. So far, what I've understood, and just to be really clear for whoever's watching the episode, if you want to, if you wish to access early years, you can go on the website, which is
lancashire.gov.uk/childcare.
Yep. If you, of course, if they are comfortable to do so. If not, they can use family hubs. The various support systems around Preston to help. First, go onto the website and navigate yourself where there is an application form. Now, on the application form, what kind of information should be provided? Are we checking for eligibility? Are we checking?
So in terms of the application form, there's two sides. There's an online application form if you qualify in terms of if you're receiving certain benefits from the government. Sure. So that's pretty straightforward. Again, you'll be putting your details of yourself in there. You'll be putting details of your children in there. you'll need a national insurance number or a NAS number.
Yeah. So
depending
the
on your
asylum seeker will
situation.
have the national asylum
Yeah.
seeker number. Yeah.
So when you're filling in your no recourse to public
public
funds,
funds.
that'll be what you add in there.
Fantastic.
So yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Like I say, you
Yes,
could
it
probably
is.
fill that in yourself. But
I was scared, Warren. I was thinking there must be a really long process, but actually, it's their name, their NAS number, the current address that they're staying in. Is there any other information that they require? When I think of application forms, I think we have to write. You have all this nitty gritty information to write, but from the sounds of it, from what I've seen, it is fairly straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, really. What they have to put.
It's
in.
very
We're not-
user friendly.
We'll ask the bare minimum of what we need to make the claim from the government, really.
Yeah.
So again, it's trying to make it as easy as possible for people really to claim. But like I say, your team can help, and Children's Family Centre hubs as well the staff can help help complete families.
And you mentioned language as well, which I thought was really, really important. Clearly showing that you're completely aware that a lot of the asylum seeker families, English may not be a language that they understand. It might not be their first language, and there's from what I understand, there are leaflets and posters that have been translated in various languages as well, which is always useful. And I know that's also, you can access them electronically or online as well.
You can. I mean, that's something that we've obviously picked up working with people like yourself.
Yeah.
But also we're working within the communities, and we do outreach sessions as well. So you might come across me in certain parts of Preston.
Remember this face.
And so we'll help you. We'll help do application things when we're there as well.
Oh, that's so helpful. And can I ask, what should you not do? So we know what you should do. What should you not do? In terms of the application or the initial things.
What should you not do?
Yeah. Put the wrong information in. Access the wrong website.
Put your own details in. What you shouldn't do is just ignore it because you think it's complicated or it's hard work to fill in.
That's
so
a good answer.
Always ask for support. There's contact details on the form itself of where you have to send it to. You can email the team and we'll follow up and we'll contact you.
Fantastic.
But just because you're struggling is not a good excuse. This really is helpful for you and your family.
Yeah.
In terms of and I've talked about the challenges really, but the actual benefits to children in terms of taking up a place at a childminder or a nursery or a preschool really for these hours really helps. Build their confidence.
Yes.
It helps them make friends in the local area. It helps kind of with speech and language, especially if you're struggling with English.
Yeah.
That can be a big thing. But the confidence thing for me, you don't know, these families may have come from war-torn countries or they've had stress, they've experienced trauma. Just being in an environment where it's all children, they're all learning through play. So they have an education curriculum we talk about early education funding. It is our education, but it's learning through play. So it's fun for them. Things like singing and rhyming really helps with their English, and it helps, like I say, develop confidence. But the key for us really is preparing them for school. So
that next education.
They'll be doing routines and things like that they'll be doing, so putting their coats on, getting ready, how to go to the toilet, prepare, stuff like that. Stuff that parents do at home. But it also helps because they're just being mirrored by the staff and the children in the nurseries or preschools as well.
So much benefit, and I really appreciate what you said. Like Warren has said, what not to do is to be afraid of asking for help and support. There's plenty of support. I assure you there's plenty of support, and everyone is just wanting you to access a service that is available, literally for you. And for that development, and just not on children, but parents, they benefit, parents, guardians, they all benefit because you make friends with parents and other guardians, so it's wonderful.
That's the thing, you'll be meeting other people from the local community as well. Going at the same time, dropping off. The other side is you then have some free time to yourself as well, so
that always helps.
You'll get some respite.
But
you could also perhaps take up training or do something
do a
else.
course or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but that's for 2-year-olds. I've got even better news.
Oh,
No, so,
we have more news.
so for 3 and 4-year-olds,
Yes.
it's universally.
Okay,
It's universal for every family.
Yes.
You can claim a place.
you can claim
So you don't have to apply for that. So it's, as I said before, it's the term after the child turns 3 this time.
So after they turn 3, so what do they have to do? So if they say, for example, they've arrived into the UK or into Preston at the age of 3,
Yeah.
and they've not had any, they've not done any form whatsoever. So how do they? So do they just have to walk into a nursery, or do they have to access it online? What do they have to do?
So they can directly approach a childcare setting.
Oh wow!
Now, the problem with that is not all childcare settings have to register
Okay, they don't
or
have
have
to.
to provide it, but most of them do, is the good news in Lancashire.
You're full of good news,
I
Warren.
am today, yeah. So, but again, if you go on the website, do a search on there. What I would tend to do is create a short list really of providers in the local area that you're interested in.
Yes.
And you might look at things like the Ofsted inspection, for example. It's not the be all and end all, because for me, it's about how you get on with the childcare setting
Yes.
in terms of the communication that you have with them, how comfortable you feel, but also then how your child
How they
fits in
feel.
there really.
Yeah.
So, but the Ofsted inspection will give you a good indicator of how that setting has been judged by Ofsted. So it's the same people that judge schools, and you can see,
Fantastic.
you can actually see on our website the previous inspections that they've had. So you can see what quality level they are at this point, but you can also see where they've come from. So you might see a journey of, well, this setting has improved in the last while. But but again, the majority in Lancashire are good or outstanding.
So what would happen, Warren, is they with the link that we provide, they can click on that link, and they can see what nurseries or what playgroups are nearby, and you suggest that just make a list, because sometimes they might be full, for example, or your child might not like that setting, or you might not like that setting. So
Yeah.
make a list and then visit them and register yourself. And for that, do they need to bring anything or?
So, the first thing is make your short list, but then arrange to go and visit.
Arrange. Don't just walk in.
So-
Let's arrange. Yes.
Some
sure.
settings will let you
Walk in.
just walk in, but there will be security arrangements around that in terms of how you approach
Oh, that's
the door
very
and
fair.
things like
Yeah, that must be noted.
But making an arrangement's probably easier, and that just helps the nursery setting in terms of, like, it might be lunchtime or something when you dropped in, and it could be chaos at that point, in terms
Absolutely.
of they're busy doing different things. So approach them and tell them what you're
arrange
in-
time.
Yeah, arrange a convenient time. I'd also prepare a list of questions that you want to find out
That's
about,
fair.
really.
Yeah.
That can be a challenge for some parents if they've never used a nursery setting, they've never seen it in this country. Again, on our website, there's helpful information. So there's lists of questions that you may want to ask. Things like, what's attracted you to working in childcare when you're speaking to some of the staff when there's there?
Sure.
What qualifications do they have?
Yeah.
How do they promote positive
Yeah.
behaviour within
Yeah.
the setting?
That's a fair
Stuff
enough
like that. How
question.
do they, like things like learning to share and stuff like that can be a challenge for children to start with.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of things that they will work on.
Absolutely, and I think Warren's given a great list of questions there. But you're free to ask any question that
Anything
you
you
want,
want, yeah.
and most providers will be very, very honest with the families and the parents or the guardians, and let them know. Like I said, the key thing is making sure that your child is in a place where you're comfortable with and they're comfortable with as well.
And that might mean from a cultural point of view.
Yes.
So again, all settings sort of fit in with all cultural requirements, really, to the best that they can.
Yeah.
And it's about you working out what's right for you culturally
Yeah.
or religiously. It's like they'll answer questions on anything. They'll be welcoming and friendly when you go there. They'll show you around. They'll probably talk about taster sessions.
Taster sessions. Taster. I'll put my teeth back in. Taster sessions.
So again, that's about them getting to know your child as well as your child getting to know them, if you will. So they'll probably get some information off you beforehand, asking things like, what's your child interested in? So it might be things like, my child's interested in dinosaurs, and then they'll use that
Yeah.
in the curriculum in the day, so they might say. So it's not like they're sitting down doing maths and English or anything like that, but they might have like lined up 5 dinosaurs and then learn to count
Yeah.
by counting the different types of dinosaurs.
Ah,
Stuff like that keeps the child interested.
yeah.
But they'll also find out about family. They might have photographs that they point to and say, "Well, that's mummy, that's daddy, that's you know,
Well, even
whoever
a game
else."
like this, you know, you can recognize who's who.
Yeah, and that can be good for, you know, if your families may not be in this country.
Yes.
So it's like, so for example, my family's not in this country,
Yeah.
but my parents had photographs of my children are looking at photographs of their granny and granddad, and they're pointing to them, and it helps. It just helps build up
I
that
can imagine.
relationship really, and keeps that strong.
I can imagine.
So yeah, when you go, it's a good thing to go and ask as many questions as you can, and it's just about them feeling comfortable, and they should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Then once you've decided what childcare setting you've got, I mean, if one thing you would do when you go around as well is ask what vacancies they have, because not all, like you said before, like not all childcare provision in the local area might have places available.
Yeah.
Some can be extremely popular and never have places available. But again, most settings in Lancashire will have some vacancies.
That's so positive and encouraging to know.
Yeah.
So this leads me nicely onto my next question. What resources, activities and support systems are available to guide and support asylum seeker families in accessing early years education? I feel like you've answered that, but like I said, let's just reiterate the website and yeah, I think we should do that for all our listeners and audiences.
Yeah, so the website's a great resource. It's got information on there about all the different types of funding. It tells you the ins and outs of it, how you can apply, what eligibility criteria you will have. All of it's there. It gives you information about how to find a childcare, about details about what to look for in terms of a childcare setting, in terms of the quality. It gives you information about the local provision in the area.
And is there a phone number, Warren? Is there a phone number that they can call or no?
So in terms of, we have a family information service. I do have a phone number, and I'll have to refer to my telephone for that one. Thanks,
we don't mind that. Warren did tell me for more phone numbers. You know what? We can always add the phone number because
So for our helpline really. So it's 0300 123 6712.
Okay.
So again, it's 0300 123 6712.
Yeah.
So that's for our family information service. So they will provide help and support all the way through this. We have an email address for them as well. So it's fis@lancashire.gov.uk.
Yeah.
So you can email them in directly as well if you've got any concerns or issues really. We also have a childcare brokerage service. So if, for example, you're struggling to find childcare, and you've looked all around the area and you can't find it, then we will help find some availability for you.
Okay.
In the local area, really.
That's so helpful.
It's helpful for you, really.
So I think we'll pop that phone number and the link in the video, because I think that will be really, really helpful.
And that brokerage service will help as well.
I was just going to say,
if you've got families with like children with special needs as well. So
yeah,
all settings. When we're talking about cultural and religious requirements, they will work with children with special needs as well.
That is brilliant. I mean, I feel like I'm learning so much myself. So I just think that's really, just to have that helpline for, you know, those special needs. There's so many cultural and religious needs, and just to be able to have that initial conversation is so comforting. I think it's brilliant. And you know, in a way, you're not even over promising. You're saying, you know, that initial conversation, just to see what support systems can be put in place, which is really fair.
Definitely. I mean, when you go to the childcare setting as well, when you do take up a place, you'll agree your times, your days of the week that you will go, and you'll sign what we call parental agreement.
Yes.
So that's a contract between you and the childcare setting, and that's just stipulating the hours that you do and things during the times that you take up. So that's important that you abide by that, really, in terms of keeping that punctuality. If you're going to if your child's sick and things like that, you'll have to let them know.
Yes.
So there's certain expectations
Yes.
that they require
Yes.
off you, really,
Yeah.
as a parent as well.
Because of course that was going to be my third question, in terms of what are the expectations when, you know, a lot of the asylum seeker families who are accessing nurseries in early years may not have ever been in an education settings. And you mentioned punctuality, you mentioned attendance. What are some of the expectations, and if you could elaborate a little bit on that parental contract as well?
Yeah. So I mean, most
Agreement,
of
yeah.
when I say there's you're signing a contract, it sounds very formal, doesn't it? It sounds very
formal.
and it is. It's an agreement between you and them. Is really what we're talking about, and it is in terms of the days of the week that they are obliged to provide for you. As far as we're concerned in
Right.
the local authority, this is their agreement with you. But then you're also agreeing to turn up at those times and take up your place.
Yes.
So that's what it is. It's a legal agreement between you and them for that reason.
Yeah.
Obviously, the local authority are paying a lot of money for these places.
Yes. Yes.
And we want that to be in place. So we
Honoured, really.
So
Yeah.
we make sure that childcare providers complete that for you, and for us, they guarantee that you are taking up that place. So a lot of it, you won't feel like it's a legal agreement. It doesn't feel like that when you're using a nursery setting. It's nice and relaxed, and normally goes without any sort of complications. But sometimes you can, if for example, you couldn't meet the times.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't meet the times, and you've signed up for a Monday to Friday, in morning sessions from 9 till 3 or whatever, and all of a sudden you're not being able to meet those, the nursery setting will approach you first of all, and they'll talk to you and sort of say, is there anything we can do? Can we change your times? What kind of issues are you having? It could be things like, you know, like they're just struggling to get there at that time for whatever reason. Maybe dropping all our kids off at school. Transportation could be a problem.
Yes.
Yes. And buses might not be available until later on in the day. So they may be able to change your hours. And now that depends on what availability the setting has as well.
Yes. Yes.
But then there may be other reasons. So it could be that the providers can sort of think, oh, there might be issues with the family, there might be issues with the child. And they will be in touch with other agencies and teams within the local authority that might be able to provide assistance.
Yeah.
So it could be that the child's in danger, or they have a safeguarding issue, or it could be just need some medical support. They may, because one thing that from a 2-year-old point of view is childcare settings will do 2-year-old checks, as well as like health visitors and things like that, and they'll be able to pick up on certain conditions.
Yes.
And we'll be able to signpost to relevant agencies to get support for these families also.
Fantastic.
So it really helps being in there. It really helps to have that agreement.
Because I think what people, families may not realise that there is such a strong bond created between, the early year settings and the parents and the child. You're seeing them day in, day out, and you are going to pick up, and all of a sudden, if they're not coming and there's been a change in circumstance, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for the parent or the guardian to communicate with the settings, the early year setting or the nursery, and let them know. That is I think if there's any expectations, that's probably the biggest expectation.
It really is teamwork.
Teamwork, yes.
And
beautiful. I love that.
I mean, as a parent that's used childcare, I'm still using childcare at the moment.
Yes.
In terms of nursery, and the relationship we have is brilliant.
I love it.
It's free flowing communication is what you need. You shouldn't be frightened to ask any questions, and you should get responses back that are helpful, that you understand. But it's definitely working in partnership with each other that really, really helps. And it's two-way in terms of, what they do in nursery, you can be mirroring at home, where they will. So things like they might do some work around seasons. So when the leaves start changing in autumn, they might sort of say, take your child out, go to the park, collect leaves, and then bring them in the nursery then on the Monday, and then They might create pictures and they'll be talking to the children about the different colours. So you're learning about that. You're learning about the different seasons. You're making art with the pictures. Kids are delighted then to bring that home and say, look, Daddy, this is what I made for you. Or that,
Such a happy experience.
It's brilliant. It really is brilliant.
Yeah, and this leads me on to the final question. I think we've covered so much, and you've spoken so extensively about the journey, what it entails, expectations, where we can find support. And if you could just summarize everything. So if there's 4 points or 3 points that we definitely want our viewers, the asylum seeker family who are listening and watching right now, what are the 3 or 4 absolutes you'd like them to go away with?
So I think there's lots, like you said, there's lots of detail in what we talked about really, but going on the website is a big thing really in terms of getting information there. But also, as I say, contact the teams that are available to you. So there is lots of support networks. Like I say, the Equality and Diversity team are brilliant in terms of language skills and also support in terms of links through the local authority.
And signposting as well.
Signposting. Same for the family hubs, which will be in your local community, no matter where you're based at the moment. And they, again, have direct links to the team. So that will help ease any sort of challenges that you have.
Yes.
In terms of the childcare settings, arrange a visit, go and speak to people. Once you're in there as well, also you're going to have links with the community, I suppose. Especially if you may have joined your local mosque or something like that. There will be families within there that are using childcare. Speak to them. See what their viewpoint is on it.
Sure.
See what relationship they have with their childcare settings, and see what help they can give you as well in terms of recommending a place.
Yes.
Like I said, word of mouth isn't always the best because what's good for one child may not be good for your child.
Yes.
But it helps.
Yes.
In terms of building a family's confidence to take up a place and knowing that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Like you say, agreeing your time and your date and your hours with a childcare setting is really important.
Very important.
But the major thing for me is don't be frightened to ask for help. Don't be frightened to ask for support. If you're struggling to understand it, there's help out there.
Fantastic.
And there's plenty of people that will try their best to get you a place.
Wow. Brilliant.
So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It was really insightful. Even I learned so much, and so much support and opportunity to grow and really kind of develop yourself here in just that first initial journey of education. All the links and all the numbers and contact details even for Warren will be included in this video. And if there's any further suggestions, questions you may have, please feel free to comment and let us know. Once again, Warren, thank you so much.
No problem, Nitel. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.
There's nothing we can't do.